out of YouTube. This will probably be the second or third video, hopefully in detail, of disassembly of the Centurion BP12, a bullpup shotgun from Century Arms. This is the manual, and as you'll notice, the pictures are fairly, the contrast is pretty difficult to see the fine detail parts. So we'll take it to the disassembly section. Basically, what they have you do, and it's kind of pointless, they want you to insert the empty magazine, rack the slide, which then triggers the bolt hold open feature, and from there they have you take it down. What I'm going to go ahead and do off camera is just charge this back to get the hammer to go back, and then go from there. They do claim, let me see if I'm on the right page, they do claim that these 3 pins, here, here, and here, are push pins, and they're not. They're actually fasteners, and one head is designed to be unscrewed and the other just remains there. So following the directions, we can assume that from here it says, from the left side, push the receiver pins and continue to pull them out on the right side of the receiver. So that kind of lets you know your starting point. I really wish, and this is a massive flaw in their manual, I really wish they would at least either A, give you the proper pins, or B, kind of at least show it. They don't, again, just looking at this, they don't really cover your disassembly. They don't show you taking them off or pushing them off or anything. You just got this motherfucker's thumb, and that's about it. And then you kind of skip a couple steps ahead, and it doesn't really show you in great detail. And then again, it's not in color. The contrast is a little off, so you can't quite tell. So anyway, that being said, we'll kind of go from there. It's best to have the right type of flathead screwdriver. I have a Grace USA kit that my father got me a long time ago, and this is the widest flathead screwdriver that I have. I've noticed, I've taken this down about 3 times. I've noticed that if I take my time, this isn't going to cam out, and I'm able to take these off just fine. Let me get to it. So this is just a rubber stopper for shipping. A lot of guys are like, "Oh, I like it. I want it on there. It gives me a little bit better purchase." This motherfucker's gonna end up falling off anyway. But I do keep this on when I store it. I'm a fan of keeping things, like I do that on my AK charging handles as well, just to keep this from marring and stuff like that. So it has its use post receiving this firearm, but it's like I say, it's not intended to be used to actually actively use on your shotgun as you're shooting it. So that being said, that's why this is here. But anyway, here we go. My bad, forgot to do the little, there we are. And this is just covering my serial number. That's all that's about. So the other shitty part is, as you take these off, there's nothing holding that pin from turning. So what you may need to do is either use your finger on the underside to just get enough torque to where you can take the fastener off, or B, you need to get another screwdriver from the other end and hold it in place as you kind of twist off. So it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. So these pins, when you take them out, when I did my first time, were a little tight, and I use a little punch to go ahead and get the pins started so I can pull them out. The front pin here actually gives me the most trouble. So let's see here and get this out. I also want to add, this is post taking the shotgun out. I fired a little under 100 rounds of mixed ammunition, and we're going to go ahead and go from there. I'm going to just set this up here. Forgive me, I really didn't plan this out for doing it on camera. Again, I'm not whacking it. I'm just getting them started. Just little punch, you know, gets it started. There we go. I'm trying to keep these in order as well as I take this apart, so that I can ensure that I know exactly where each pin was, in case there's any differences or any issues. I know that I've done my process and at least kept the fasteners to the correct retaining pins. Not that it matters, they should all be the same exact spec, but you never know. So anyway, that does it for the upper and lower sections. They're just retained by these pins. Do not accidentally do this. This is a pin for your feed ramp. So that's what that's about, is it's just affixed, and this actually doesn't unscrew. I thought it was because it sticks out. I'll show you on camera here. It sticks out, as you can see here, ever so slightly, and I thought, well, maybe it's flush like this, so I tried to kind of screw it, and it actually butts up against the physical receiver. But as you can tell, this is your polymer feed ramp. There's not a lot of high velocity of these running into it. It's basically just the tip here, and even then it's more of a gap fill as this kind of comes in. But this is the receiver itself here. A lot of complaints the guys have is the bolt hold open when you I'm not going to insert the magazine, but this piece, this steel piece here, isn't affixed to the physical lower. So when you insert the magazine, and I'm not going to do it all the way, but I'll kind of show you. When you insert the magazine, I'll try to do it carefully because I jammed it in there like you would with an AR when you take them apart. This little fucker pops out. He's just sitting right there, okay? So when you have this locked back and you go to, let's say the rifle's fully assembled, and you go to inject a loaded magazine, and then you're going to depend upon this to release the bolt. Don't do that, because what's happening is the tension is placed upon this guy, and the only thing holding it in place is going to be the upper here. So there's a lot of tension, so you really have to push down. I mean, some guys have to do it with two hands. What you should do is just power stroke the charging handle to rack your first round. This is basically just to hold the bolt back when it's empty. You know, so you cycle it back, you have your empty magazine, everything's completed. That's the only time I would ever utilize this, is you can depress this easier when there's no magazine in there, just because it's held on by just the bolt hold open and tension there, and there's no magazine pushing it up and into the upper. So I'm not doing it justice by quite explaining it, but it is kind of a pain in the butt. But that being said, this is just kind of in there. The long action bar here, actually doesn't provide, sorry, put it off safe, doesn't actually provide that bad of a trigger pull. It for this long coat hanger here, it's actually not terrible. So this is your little piece here. So this is all steel, this is all steel, this part's polymer, this is not physically adhered to the lower at all, just push pin safety. It actually works pretty well, good positive locks. Couple of the issues is your detent in here for the safety is just held in by plastic. You can see the little area there, and then same thing goes with the disconnector. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, the return spring down in there. You can kind of see that right in yonder. There we go. It's just held in by plastic housing, so I'd be careful. I'd appreciate if those were metal, but you know, they must be low impact parts. Your magazine release, Here, the bar itself is metal, but this button, which protrudes quite a bit and is not fenced in, is polymer. And so if anything happens to that, it gets broken or what have you, you now can't eject mags efficiently. So I don't know what measurements these are. I haven't taken calipers to it, but it'd be interesting to see if I could potentially farm a replacement if need be. So, alrighty, so we're going to set that aside. There's really nothing to be done here. I don't see any metal shavings or anything like that in the lower, so I'm going to go ahead and just chuck that there. Okay. All right. And this, let me go ahead and take off. Put that right there. So from here, what the manual is going to state, let me get the manual here. What it wants you to do is take off, just like an 870 or some of those pump action shotguns, is you're going to take off this front end. What it's doing is it's holding a locking plate or a centering plate in the front half of the shotgun. So this entire forearm section is going to just slide on off once you're done. We'll go ahead and do that now. So this just unscrews. It's got its own little detent pin, just like that. Okay. Okay, this is also steel. This is steel. It's cast. It feels light, but it is steel. Okay, and we just carefully slide that off. So, as you can see here, it is held under spring tension. One slight, let's see if I can get it in there. Can you see the bar here? This is part of the charging handle, okay? And it goes along this action bar to charge the firearm. So this is the only thing in there that is physically charging it. Now this section is pretty well made. I'd like to have spares of this entire assembly, which I've emailed the Alder Arms to see, but I highly doubt I'm going to hear back from them. I've also emailed Century to figure that out. But this is basically your upper. Real quick while I have it here. Kind of like low profile polymer sights here. They don't have a spring assist or anything like that, but they are held in by little detent pins. They kind of go up. These, for what they are and the fact that they come with it for free, they're not terrible. Also, when they go down, you can see the little notch here and the front here, acting as a sort of, it's kind of confusing doing that in the, there we go, kind of acting as some sights, you know, for really low profile sights. So that's kind of cool. But these are okay, and the fact that they're free, they have a very low profile when they're down. I had a few of the Magpul rail covers laying around. I'm never going to mount a vertical grip or anything like that to the sides, like a light or anything like that. There's really no reason for me to do that. So this is your upper. Nothing needs to be done with this section here. As you can see on the back side, these are just indexing tabs that go onto the receiver here once you put it all back together. Okay, next stage is going to be this. And from here, because I'm getting to about 13 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and break this up into a second part of the video. So just stay tuned.